As twilight descended over Boston Logan International Airport, the golden hues of the setting sun reflected off the glass terminals, painting the bustling scene with a warm glow. The airport was alive with the hum of travelers, eager to board their flights and embark on their journeys. Among them was Julian Harris, a tall, distinguished black man in his late 30s. Dressed in a tailored suit and carrying a sleek leather briefcase, Julian exuded confidence. But behind his composed exterior, fatigue weighed heavily on him. Julian was the CEO of Apex Innovations, a rapidly expanding tech firm that had just sealed a groundbreaking deal. After months of intense negotiations and sleepless nights, the merger was final. It would catapult his company to the forefront of the global industry. And now, Julian was heading to London to meet his new executive team. All he wanted was to enjoy a peaceful flight in the business class seat he had booked, a rare moment to unwind after weeks of relentless pressure. As he approached the gate, Julian pulled out his boarding pass. Seat 2A, business class. This flight, however, was special for more than just the destination. It was his first flight since acquiring a significant stake in the very airline he was about to board. The gate agent, a woman with a practiced smile, scanned his boarding pass and handed it back with a brief. "Enjoy your flight, Mr. Harris." Julian made his way down the jet bridge, his thoughts already drifting to the meeting ahead. As he stepped onto the plane, he was greeted by a flight attendant, a middle-aged woman with perfectly coiffed hair and a slightly tense expression. She quickly glanced him up and down before gesturing toward his seat. "Good evening, sir. Your seat is just up ahead to the left." Julian settled into seat 2A, sighing with relief as he sank into the plush leather. A glass of champagne awaited him, and as he took a slow sip, the tension in his shoulders began to melt away. He pulled out his tablet, intending to catch up on emails, though his mind was already yearning for a moment of rest. Just as he started to relax, a shadow loomed over him. Julian glanced up to see the same flight attendant standing beside his seat, her expression uncertain. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her voice tinged with hesitation. "May I see your boarding pass again?" Julian raised an eyebrow, but handed it over without question. The attendant glanced back and forth between the pass and the seat number, her brow furrowing slightly. "It seems there's been a mistake. This seat was double booked, and we'll need to ask you to move to economy." For a moment, Julian just stared at her, taken aback by the suggestion. "Economy," he repeated, his voice calm but laced with disbelief. "There must be a mistake. I paid for this seat." "Yes, sir," the attendant said, her smile now gone. "There was a system error. We apologize for the inconvenience, but we'll need you to move to economy." Julian's exhaustion gave way to a simmering frustration. He had faced these moments before, subtle slights, quiet assumptions that he didn't belong in certain spaces. But this felt different. He had paid for this seat, and now he was being asked to move without any clear explanation. "I'm not moving," Julian said firmly. "I booked this seat, and I expect to stay in it." The flight attendant's smile faltered. She glanced around, noticing that nearby passengers had started to take interest in the conversation. "I understand, sir, but we really need your cooperation." Julian's patience began to thin. "If there's a mistake, it's not mine to fix. I suggest you handle this some other way." The attendant's face reddened slightly before she hurried away, returning moments later with the cabin manager, a tall man with an air of authority. He reiterated the story, explaining that the seat had been double booked and offering Julian a voucher if he would agree to move. Julian clenched his jaw, refusing to be swayed. "I'm not moving," he said, his voice low but resolute. "I paid for this seat, and I have every right to be here." The cabin manager glanced at the flight attendant, who shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, this is a full flight, and we're trying to accommodate everyone. And yet I'm the one being asked to move?" Julian's gaze locked on the manager's, his words hanging in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Before the manager could respond, a younger flight attendant approached, her face a mixture of concern and curiosity. "Is there a problem here?" she asked, her eyes darting between Julian and the cabin manager. The manager cleared his throat. "We've had an issue with the seating arrangements." The younger attendant frowned, and pulled up the passenger list on her tablet. After a moment, her expression changed, and she looked up in surprise. Actually, there's no mistake. Mr. Harris is in the correct seat. The manager blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Oh, I see," he muttered, his face flushing with embarrassment. He quickly stepped back, trying to salvage his dignity. The younger attendant turned to Julian with an apologetic smile. "I'm terribly sorry for the confusion, Mr. Harris. You're absolutely in the right seat." Julian nodded, his frustration still simmering beneath the surface. "Thank you," he said, his voice cool but polite. As the cabin manager retreated, Julian leaned back in his seat, his thoughts swirling. He had fought too hard and achieved too much to be treated like he didn't belong. The merger he had just signed would ensure his company's place among the industry's elite, and yet here he was, still battling for respect in spaces that should have been open to him, without question. As the plane took off and the lights dimmed, Julian allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. In just a few days, the ink on the deal would dry, and this airline would be part of his expanding empire. The next time he boarded a flight, there would be no confusion about where he belonged. For now, though, he would let the skies carry him to his next destination, where more opportunities awaited, and this moment would be just one more chapter in his story of success.